Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Girl Talk. We're so excited to have you back again. It's been a very long summer away. I'm not new, but I would like to introduce myself again. I'm Tanya Reyes. I am one of your co-hosts, one of them, because I am joined by a brand new one.
Hi, my name is Megan Eve. I am the other co-host. I'm an incoming freshman this year. I'm a psychology major, and as of right now, I'm going pre-PA with a minor in Spanish. I'm from a small town called Waverly, New York. I'm 18 years old, and that's about it for me.
That's Megan. That's Megan Heath. Yeah, she's a little freshman baby. So today's video is going to be a very super interesting one. It's kind of like the similar format that we've had previous shows, like when we've had our fashion shows, except this time we're doing a lot more activity. But I would like to start off with an important conversation, and this month it is Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Yep, October, Domestic Awareness Month.
So we do have statistics. I don't think we should start with like 1 in 5 women, but it's the truth. So just so you're aware of what's happening in today's day and age, on average, nearly 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner in the United States. During 1 year, this equates to more than 10 million women and men. Which is super sad, but is unfortunately the cold, hard truth. And the reason why we want to talk about this is because not just because it's awareness for Domestic Violence Month, but it's also been happening a lot. I think been seeing a lot in social media about domestic violence between partners, a lot in like the industry with entertainment and that sort of thing in general, and it gets really blown into this extreme platform, and in all reality it's simply because the person's a celebrity. But like this last summer we had a huge case that took the United States by storm, which was Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. And that was a huge domestic violence case. But it wasn't really figuring out the legality of the domestic violence that occurred within the relationship. It was just the hearsay that came from it. And I think we see that a lot. I think we saw it a lot during this case. I didn't pick sides for me personally. I didn't pick who was right, who was wrong. I think they were both in the wrong. I don't think anybody in this situation was right. I think they both were abusive, and I think, I don't think there was a right in this, but I think it showed a lot in the media how women are constantly berated. I don't care if she pooped in his bed. I mean I do. That's really, really gross. But it's just like any chance people got to shoot Amber Heard down, they took it.
And that's just another example of just violence in America.
Yeah.
And just violence in the media, outside of the home, outside of platonic or romantic relationships. Yes. There's just violence everywhere.
Yeah, and it's
in the world.
Yeah, and it just goes to show, like, you really have to be careful what you're getting yourself into, which sucks, especially as a woman, like, fearing that your relationship may turn physical. I mean, you could be a man or a woman, or anything, but it's just, with women, we're just more likely to experience domestic violence within a relationship than men are. So it's really hard getting into that, but I don't know.
It's really scary growing up and being a woman, fearing for some aspects of your future.
Yeah, And yeah, and it's not even that. It's like with domestic violence comes the conversation of rape and sexual assault, and it's like you can't have a one-sided conversation. You can't just talk about domestic violence without also talking about the disparities women have in the United States of America. They unfortunately coincide. But fortunately enough, there are people in this world who want to help women and who want to instruct them and give them the resources they need.
And we have each other.
And
we want to focus on also the empowerment aspect of violence, not just the negative statistics that it's happening, but also we want to just bring together both men and women to help stop this from happening.
And like show off, like there are women out there that have fought off their oppressor and have fought off their attacker and like have survived, and they can tell their stories. But for today's episode, like I said, was something very special. It was like our fashion show. And today we're having the Taekwondo Club come on Girl Talk, and they're gonna come on here and they're gonna show us a few moves. But before that, we're gonna ask them a few questions. So I would like to introduce two members from the Taekwondo Club, the president and the vice president. You may come on now. Yay! Crowd goes wild. Hello.
Hi.
Thanks for having me.
How are you?
Good.
How are you feeling?
Great.
Okay, if you want to introduce yourselves.
Yep, you can go first.
I'm Gus. I'm the president of the Taekwondo Club.
I'm Daphne. I'm the vice president.
Okay.
So as part of the Taekwondo Club, what's the biggest event you do for the year? Do you have like a main event that you do?
We typically end up going to competitions with other schools around this region. They're tournaments. They cover a range of different aspects that are within this martial art. And we compete with other SUNY schools all the way up to West Point and Harvard and Ivy Leagues.
Oh, cool. That's very impressive.
Yeah.
What are like your meetings like? Do you always just do like practicing, or do you also have other things that you do in your meetings?
Yeah, so normally when we have the club expo, we have a lot of people who are interested, and they come up to our table and they ask us, what do we do? What is Taekwondo? Taekwondo is a Korean martial art. Normally it's a lot of kicking. It is an Olympic sport, so you can see it in the Olympics. So a lot of people who come up to us, we explain that to them, and then they start saying that they have experience in martial arts, not specifically Taekwondo, but that they've done kickboxing or jiu-jitsu. And we welcome everybody because, yes, Taekwondo is primarily kicking and, the aspect of fighting with like a chest protector, and you have like a helmet kind of thing. But it's a lot of other martial arts combined, and it just all works out. So many people who come are either inexperienced or have some experience. So mostly at the beginning of the practice, we start off with stretching. Everyone stretches, then we do some warm-up, some cardio, jumping jacks, running around, because it is a workout. And then we get into learning how to kick, the different types of kicks, learning how to punch, your fighting stance. We learn what you should always protect, which is your head, right? Without your head, you're nobody. And so, yeah, and then after that, either we go into sparring, which is the physical fighting with each other, or we just continue doing workouts and, just learning other things.
Cool.
The other side of that too, when we're not doing the more exercise and sport side of it, is focusing on these self-defense aspects that are used in practical real-world situations. Like Daphne said, you really get a range of all different types of martial arts. There's probably at least 20 that you could list that exist in the world, and when you can pinpoint pieces from each one and get that greater skill set, you can just protect yourself even better in the real world.
Wow, they're so cool. Okay, I have a question too. You mentioned how at Club Expo, like tons of people go up to you, and like you can have like zero to no experience. Did you two come to Oneonta hoping to find a Taekwondo club, or did you just kind of come across it and were like, oh, like that could be fun?
So I started Taekwondo when I was 5 in kindergarten as part of the after-school enrichment program. And my mom made me go. I didn't want to go. But I've been doing it for, like, the math checks out, close to 16 years now. And I've really come to love it because it's not just a physical part of it, whether you get to be really cool and, like, you know how to fight.
Right.
Or you love the sport side of it, but it builds your character and your discipline and your humility. So it really does a lot more than just physical skill set. And I knew this club was here when I came to Expo. That was just one of the things I happened to find. And I was like, oh, cool. So that kind of like maybe swayed my decision to come here. But a lot of people end up finding about it brand new, even if they have experience.
Yeah, for me, my dad is a Taekwondo teacher. He came from Mexico and started teaching here in the United States. So I grew up in a Taekwondo school. I have videos of me when I was like little, very little, punching and kicking. So I grew up in Taekwondo in that atmosphere and environment. I did a lot of tournaments. I got my black belt when I was 13, 14, around that age. But I stopped then because the Taekwondo school that I would train at burnt down. So I had nowhere to train. During high school, I would try going to another school, but it was like really far from me. So that didn't happen. And when I came to Oneonta, I was surprised to see a Taekwondo club. I didn't know that there was one. And I joined freshman year, but I couldn't attend most sessions. And then the vice president and the president of that time, they graduated, and I was still in the group chat. And then that's where I found out that they had asked Gus to be president, and then that's when I reached out to Gus, and I was like, hey, I'd like to be part of eBoard as well. And there was no one else there, so I became vice president, and then, yeah, from there we basically started from scratch. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah, you did. I'm a part of student association, so when you came around to ask for money, we were like, oh my gosh, they're starting from nowhere. Wow.
Yeah.
They rebuilt it all. Okay. Questions. This is not good. Since you were 5 and you didn't want to do it, did your mom know that you didn't want to do it? Or was it like you're forced to do this?
Both, I'd say. You know, it's like one of those programs where it's like for parents who are working, the kids,
Right.
and there's nobody for the kids to go home to, so it was just one of those options. And I thought it was the coolest one there, so it was like, you know, paper mache, Taekwondo, and balloon making. Obviously, I'm going to pick Taekwondo.
Yeah.
And then it was like, well, it's something good for me. It's exercise. It builds your character. It's all these things. So then my mom's like, this is good for you. You should go. Because, you know, I mean, I was one of those kids that did like every sport under the sun growing up, but none of them to the point that it was like rigorous and it was like a routine for me. And this she thought was good, and I was like, okay, it's fun, but like it's not something I want to do. And then the more I went, the more I found out really how good it was.
That's awesome. And you said that your dad was an instructor in Mexico.
Yeah.
I'm Mexican. That's the first time I hear that somebody comes from Mexico and is already a Taekwondo instructor.
Yeah.
That's really cool, though. Did you feel forced into it growing up, or did you feel like, no, this is like my dad's thing, like this is cool?
Yeah, no, I don't think I felt forced at all. I think it was more of my playground. Everyone was older than me, you know, so, and then we have a lot of equipment. I remember building forts with like some equipment that we had. So it was a playground for me, and then I think the goal for my dad was to kind of get me into the Olympics, because that's kind of like how everything was forming for me.
Right.
But once the school, you know, burnt down, then that goal or that dream kind of just like went away. And that was a dream that was for him and me. Like, you know, we both agreed on it. So it wasn't like he was forcing me to do something I didn't want to.
That's awesome. Wow.
I think I'm going to ask one last question before we get into the demonstrations.
Yes.
How would one go about joining your club?
So, the technical answer is you just join on Campus Connections. You search up our club. We're the only club that
Like
starts with
where
a
is
T.
it? Like what time?
So Mondays 5:15 to 7 and Thursdays 4 to 5:45 in the back half of the Chase Gym. Pretty great space. It's very open. We have a lot of equipment that allows us to do the whole range of stuff. A lot of people come, if it's one of those things where it's like I have class from 5 to 6:30, so I can't make the second half, and you want to come for the beginning, or vice versa, and you want to come for the later half. We're really flexible with like what we teach, and we really teach a hybrid model between the different traditions and styles. So it's really like how much you come and you put in is how much you get out of it, and we'll just work with you type of thing.
You don't have to bring anything, just gym clothes. Be ready to get sweaty, and yeah, that's really it.
That's awesome. Well, you heard it here first, folks. You got to go to the Chase Gym at 5:15 on Mondays and Thursdays. I don't remember the time, but you got to be there.
We have it on Instagram, so you can always look it up on Instagram.
Yeah. So before we get into the demonstration, I know there are a few things we should know before we get into it. So why don't you tell me and Megan that before anything bad happens?
So I think the first thing to know and think about, and especially when we're talking about Domestic Violence Awareness Month, is even if you know how to fight and you're good at fighting, your body might not kick into fight or flight mode if something is unfortunately happening to you. You might just shut down out of pure panic or shock, even if you know what you're doing. And it's unfortunate, but it's okay. That's not your fault. That's just something that happens. If you are able to fight back, there are safety things that you gotta know, both to protect yourself and the other person that you're defending yourself from.
Yeah. One of the main things is always to protect your head, your face area, your head. So a lot with martial arts, when you see people having their fists up, is to protect their head, right? So even if someone has you on the floor and they're kicking you or something, I think all of our instincts is always to protect our head, to cover our heads. But on the reverse side, to hurt the other person, right? To leave you, to stop hurting you, or the attacker. Places where you would want to hit them is the nose. The nose is a very sensitive place. Even if just getting hit with the ball, it hurts. So imagine hitting someone with all that adrenaline running. You can break their nose. Obviously, that's going to make them step back. The chest area, right? That's where your heart is at. So kicking in the chest area, punching in the chest area, this part. The back of the head. So anatomically, I think that's a word, speaking, your brain. The occipital lobe is in the back, so that's where you see from your eyes, right? That's that part connected. So if you were to hit someone in the back of the head, right, really hard, they'll probably go like black for a few seconds. I've tried it on myself. I've hit myself just because I didn't believe that, and I saw like black spots. So I'd say that does work.
And with that too, the where your base of your skull connects to your spine is probably one of the most crucial points that you want to protect. So if you're in the unfortunate circumstance where you're falling, you always tuck your chin into your chest, because if you hit this point on the right edge or hard enough, you paralyze yourself for life. So it's an unfortunate circumstance that, we're not, when we think we can fight and we have skills, you're not indestructible. I mean, similar to what Dafne said with the nose, given it's so sensitive, if you hit it right, you shatter the nose and the bone fragments go into the skull, and it can severely injure you, or it could kill you. But if you're in a life or death situation, that might be beneficial to you.
Wow, that's kind of crazy, guys. Something about having that power scares me. Like, okay. Well, now we're gonna get to the demonstrating because now I wanna know how to do some of this stuff. So, let's get started.
Do you want to bring the thing?
We're gonna be right here. We're not going too far, guys. We're gonna be right here. Yeah, so let's start off with the first thing.
So we'll probably start off in like fighting position.
Okay.
So your fighting position is just both your legs apart, balance on both legs. Bend your knees, and then we'll keep our arms up, right, to protect our face. So when you punch, right, the proper way to close your fist is your fingers come down, and then your thumb goes on the top. When you're punching with your knuckles. A lot of people punch like this. A lot of people make fun of people who punch like that, right? Because it's incorrect. When you punch, it comes straight from like your elbow. This.
Also, if you don't put your thumb over your fingers when you punch and you tuck it underneath, you will break your thumb when you hit somebody, which obviously isn't great for you. So you always keep it on the outside, as tight as a fist as you can make.
Cool. So now we'll have Gus hold this. So this is one of the equipments we use in Taekwondo so that we don't hurt each other. So now we're going to punch this. Ready? Now you can try.
Okay. I'm so excited. Oh my god.
Good.
Okay, Megan, your turn.
Okay.
Yeah. So obviously, if your attacker is really close to you like this, punching them could work, right? You like. So that's a punch. So now we'll do front kick. So a front kick will come from the fighting position like this. Because I've obviously been like fighting for a very long time, this is kind of a natural stance for me now. But for someone who doesn't have the experience, it'll probably feel very unnatural. But for the sake of this and Taekwondo, a front kick, it's just your knee up, you kick, and you bring it back. So it looks like that. Would you like to try?
Yeah. Okay, by the way, we practiced this before the show, so I'm kind of already really good.
Yep. Nice.
Now, if you watch a lot of things with martial arts, you'll notice that when people are kicking or punching, they yell a lot. It's called the ki-op. It's a dispersion of energy from your chest. It makes you stronger. It's kind of a traditional thing, but it works. But obviously, if you're in a self-defense situation in real life, you're not going to start screaming at the person in that manner.
Or maybe you will, you don't know.
True.
Would you like to try?
Sure. So it was.
Yep, just knee up, kick, and bring it back. Yep.
As hard as you can.
Okay.
That's good. Yeah. So those are the two. Well, that's a kick. And then we can do a knee, right? So when your attacker is attacking, right, another very sensitive part is the genitals, right? So for men, we know what that is. So for the sake of this, we'll have Gus hold it in around his area. And I'll get really close to him and I'll grab him and I'll knee, right? So obviously the grabbing the person helps you put them onto your level and easier for you, especially if we're short, right? And the man is tall and big, we grab him, we're like, hey, and then we knee him, all right?
You can trick him. You can like go like this and just like you're gonna kiss him and then you're just gonna go.
Exactly.
It works.
Right.
It'll throw them off.
Yep.
You want to try it?
Sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
So obviously that would really help if you're really close to the person. So now we're gonna get into like the self-defense that we think about, like the getting out of something, right? So we'll do the blocking and then the striking.
Yeah. So the most common way that somebody who's not experienced is going to hit you, and if it's unfortunately a situation of domestic violence and they do know how to fight, they're probably not going to be using fighting skills. They would probably just be using basic strikes and anything they can do to hurt you. The most basic one would obviously then be a punch. You step in, they'd be just going for your face, whether it's like just a throw-in because they have no experience trying to hit you. They're really experienced and they throw a straight punch at your face, a hook, anything that's throwing their fist at your face would be a punch.
Yeah. So now, us as defending ourselves, we have to block it, right? So a block that's pretty useful. It's like in and out. So you'll bring it to your chest and push it out, right? So even if I'm kind of like not paying attention, normally you should see these things coming, right? You should be aware of your surroundings. So whenever you're ready, right? I already saw his punch, I block him. From here, what you can do next is punch him in the throat, right? Punch him in the throat, or you can shape your hand this way and like push back, right?
When you do that, that kind of like a claw motion, that will knock the wind out of the person you're striking. It's just a strike to the throat. That's what it will naturally do. It gives you time to get away if you don't want to harm the individual. However, that punch, you will typically bring your middle finger kind of propped up in a fist. A normal fist is kind of just like flat, but you raise that middle finger, you kind of create a bump outwards, and when you punch the individual in the throat, it crushes their windpipe. That will kill them. So obviously you want to use that with extreme discretion, but if it's a life and death situation, it's probably better that you survive and you know how to survive by doing that. It's unfortunate, but in this world you might need it.
Yeah, so if you want to try it faster. Okay, so that's that one. Do you want to try it?
Okay, yeah. Yeah. Wait, do it again. Do it again.
That was right. That was
Okay.
the right arm and everything, yeah. Block and then
Wait,
just
so
get a
we
little
block?
closer.
Okay.
So you would block and then maybe step forward to hit him.
Yeah.
Okay, wait.
Step with your right.
And then boom.
Yep, with that middle finger bumped out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm killing some people.
Do you want to try? No? Okay. So there's that one, and then the other one that we had prepared was if they're holding you from like your neck, from the back right here.
Kind of like if you ever
Yeah,
did
just like this
in
way.
elementary school, middle school with your friends, a pressure point when you would squeeze the back of their neck. Unfortunately, that's a way that people will grab people because you squeeze it and then you have control over them. So usually it would be very hard to get out of this. This will make it the opposite.
Yeah. So from here, we're going to wrap your arm around, put it under, and then lift, right? I'm short, so I have to tiptoe. But squeezing the arm, because that's what I'm doing, I'm squeezing him and I'm holding mine to just grab more and then lifting up. That motion is gonna make him go up. Like, are you faking it?
Nope.
He's
it
not
hurts.
faking it. So I have to lift up because I'm short, but he doesn't because he feels my pressure. So that one's that one. So if
That pressure too, sorry, I just want to say, that pressure, if you're really short, you might be aiming more for the armpit versus the elbow, or vice versa if you're really tall. Either way, as long as your hand is near, in between their armpit and their elbow, it works because it will either break their elbow or it'll dislocate their shoulder. Again, gets you out of that dangerous position and gives you time to get away. And then we're going to add on to it.
Yep. Would you like
Oh
to?
yeah. Okay. Ah! Ouch!
Yep, and lift. Exactly.
I'm like really. Yeah, I'm like so good at this.
Really strong.
Would you like to try it?
Sure.
Okay.
What was it again?
Yep.
Around the outside,
This way?
over, yeah, and then up, and then lift. Yeah, ow, yeah. Very
Yeah.
nice.
She did it.
Yeah, so obviously these are, I don't know if this would be like someone's first instinct to do, but obviously if you practice them enough, practice them with your friends, even looking up videos about self-defense, just like how to get out of certain situations, could be really helpful. But like Gus said at the beginning, even though I may have experience, you know, I don't know in that situation how I'm gonna act. Maybe I'll freeze, maybe I'll just run, maybe I won't fight, right? So that's the thing with domestic violence, is that we never know when it's coming, when it's gonna happen, and who it's gonna be. So I think for a lot of women, our tip is don't fight their strength, right? Because he could be, you know, he's taller than me, he's stronger than me. So don't fight his strength, but find other ways to get out of it, right? Because if he was gonna, I don't know, like if you're pushing me, right? If he's pushing me, he'll push harder. He'll push harder. Look, I can't, right? So then in a situation like that, that's what I mean. Don't fight his strength, but find another way to get out of it, right? And that's what self-defense does. It's not teaching you like, okay, you have to be stronger, you have to go to the gym and lift this much in order to fight your attacker. It's showing you like other tips and tricks on how to get out of certain situations.
You use their weight and their momentum against them, and you redirect it, and it makes your job a lot easier.
Wow, that was so helpful. Like, okay, I know I tend to sound really sarcastic most of the time, but that was really helpful, and I do think a lot of people need this. That was really helpful for me, because now I'm like really super strong now. So if you want to learn more about self-defense, please, what is it, this coming Monday?
Yep, this Monday we actually have an event with the Gears Club at the gym, the Chase Gym, at 5:15 to 7. We're going to be doing these demos in person, and anyone's welcome to go and kick something, practice on each other, and that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But the whole event will be geared towards practical self-defense to use in domestic violence situations.
Yeah, I think because Domestic Violence Awareness Month. But yeah, that's it for us this week. We appreciate you both for coming. This was a lot of fun. I took something away from it. Now I can break someone's nose. Megan took something away from it. And we're so thankful for this. Thank you.
You for having us.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you all for watching. We appreciate you and watching again this week. We hope you enjoyed, and we hope you come again next week. Bye.
Bye.